Ladies and gentlemen, now in today's video, we're going to be having our very first look at the full abilities for the brand new Cosmic Champion Super-Skrull. So this character is looking really interesting on paper. I think there's a core of really solid utility, but I think it's also very hard to assess his numbers and how stuff is going to scale up, but I do think he's got some pretty good potential. I'm not kind of clocking on to anything that stands out as like broken Cosmic Ghost Rider level, but I think kind of best case scenario, he could be a god tier, solid god tier champion, but I'm not seeing anything that is just like game breaking when it does come to his kit. However, he does look like a very well designed character, and I think he's going to be really fun to play as well. So the first thing is he has double immunity. He's immune to shock and incinerate, and also his fury buffs give him block penetration, and his armor up buffs give him additional crit resistance. So he also has a falter mechanic that's a little bit similar to Professor X. However, I would say Professor X's one, comparatively speaking, is a little bit better. So after a cooldown of 25 seconds, he inflicts a falter debuff on the opponent, and this debuff lasts for 1 second and causes all attacks to miss, but begins paused. So this debuff isn't actually going to trigger until you are struck, you block an attack, or the opponent naturally misses anyway. So yeah, it's kind of like a nice safety net mechanic, but also you can use this to your advantage because after it expires, it's replaced with an energy vulnerability debuff that reduces energy resistance by 1,400 for 5 seconds. And again, I think this is going to combo really well with the special too. So it's either like a nice safety net for the character once every 25 seconds, or a little bit of a damage booster on the special too. And again, I must admit, I really do like safety net mechanics, so I'm very happy to see more of those knocking about. So the core of his kit is every 1 second he reaches full charge, and his next action creates a buff resetting the charge, and this charge is not affected by ability accuracy. So landing a hit or striking a block converts to a fury buff, increasing attack by 314, but if you're struck or block an attack, it converts to an armor up buff, increasing armor by 400. And 5 of these buffs can be maintained at a time, and then you enter overload. And again, you're going to enter overload really quickly because you gain like a new charge, a new buff like every single second there, so these are going to rapidly stack up, and then you do go into overload state. So upon reaching this state, you gain a cosmic energy overload buff for 15 seconds and cannot build any more cosmic energy until it ends. Also, all cosmic energy receptor buffs, so the fury and armor up, are removed when overload ends or if it fails to trigger, and Skrull gains additional buffs based on the amount of armor or fury buffs active when he enters overload. So if you've got 4 or more armor up buffs, you gain a vigilance buff for 15 seconds, so you can counter miss that way. If you've got 8 or more of these buffs, and we'll talk about how you can gain 8 in a second, you gain an unblockable buff for 15 seconds. And also, if you've got 4 or more fury buffs, you gain an undermine debuff for 15 seconds, granting unblockable to any hit which the opponent auto blocks. So again, this is going to be very good for countering MODOK and also Iron Man Infinity War, also Darkhawk as well. Anybody that's like really annoying with unblockable, he should be really good for. And also 8+ fury buffs gain Nova Fist buff for 15 seconds, granting 100% chance to incinerate on all attacks, dealing 1,000 energy damage over 1.5 seconds, and also removing perfect block chance and also reducing block proficiency as well. So again, this is nice off every single attack there. It's a very quick incinerate there, which I think in a lot of scenarios isn't the best thing. You kind of like want a slightly longer debuff, but if it's some scenario where the opponent is shrugging off debuffs like the Mighty Charge node, again, a shorter debuff could be advantageous in various matchups and scenarios. So yeah, seems a little bit interesting there. And again, this Incinerate is going to apply on every single one of your hits, so like it's just over 1,000 energy damage on every single hit. And if this damage does scale up with his Fury as well, then yeah, this could be really nice. But I'm curious to see the scaling on this as well. Then we've got his special attacks. So special 1 is invisible boulder toss. Again, Super-Skrull has all of the powers, at least in the comics, as the Fantastic Four characters. So yeah, on activation, this converts up to 5 Fury buffs into armor up buffs, increasing armor rating by 400 for 25 seconds, and the second hit of this attack cannot miss or be auto-blocked. So again, this is the way that you can gain like additional armor to gain the unblockable buff for 15 seconds there, which is really, really nice. But the main reason I think why you want these longer armor ups is also via the special 2. You can convert armor into fury, giving you additional attack rating, and again allowing you to go above 8 stacks of fury to enter like that super incinerate mode there. But also the special 2 is elastic firestorm, and I believe this is going to have about 5 or 6 hits to it, and each hit has a 100% chance to incinerate the opponent. So you got 2.5k energy damage over 15 seconds, and also I think if you're above 8 Furies as well, which you should be on activation. Again, this is going to apply the additional Incinerate as well. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of Incinerate, a lot of burst damage off the special 2, which seems really, really nice there. So yeah, hopefully the numbers do live up to the hype. And then finally, we got the special 3 for longer fights, which gives him an indefinite non-stacking aptitude, which increases the potency of his armor up and fury effects by 60% as well. So again, for longer fights with certain fury scaling, this could be really, really good. I think at 5-star rank 5, if you're playing aggressively, like I think most of the time you're going to have like a 5 to 6k attack bonus, and again with lots of incinerates going on, this damage could really ramp up very, very nicely. But again, I'm curious to see how like everything scales. He's like a little bit unknown until we can see the character in action, but yeah, I'm very excited for him, man. I think he's got a lot of good stuff on his kit, and also via the awakened ability as well. So while in cosmic energy overload, and again it should be very quick to get there and very easy, he gains a power gain buff granting 7.1% of a bar of power every second. So that's a pretty solid power gain, not quite the level of characters like Hyperion and Dragon Man, but still should be really, really good there. So again, that's going to allow him to quickly charge up to his special 1, special 2 rotation, and also get to his special 3 in those longer fights as well. So it's got some nice power gains, some nice base utility. The damage output seems really, really good. Again, he seems very reliant on incinerating the opponent, and also being able to, generate buffs as well. So he may be a little bit niche in some scenarios. And then we've got Synergies. So he's got hostile takeover with Iron Fist. So each time you activate a fury buff, there is a 100% chance to place an armor break on the opponent lasting for 4 seconds, reducing armor by 150. And this has a maximum of 5 stacks, so on the special 2 you've got even more damage output there. But again, this should be quite nice, not absolutely essential, but a nice little damage output bonus, and also give you a little bit more utility with all the additional debuffs there. And also Iron Fist, the first 4 of his personal armor break debuffs start off paused, and while the opponent is suffering from any armor break debuff, the next buff triggered on them will be immediately nullified and an armor break debuff is consumed. So yeah, this seems actually really, really strong for Iron Fist. Again, gives him like massive utility there. So thinking about the synergy with Iron Fist, this could be a little bit of a game changer, because it essentially allows him to have 4 stacks of stagger on the opponent, because every single armor break debuff is essentially going to count as a stagger, at least to the best of my understanding. And yeah, they start off paused as well, which is super valuable for him. So yeah, this could be really, really good for Iron Fist. I'm a little bit curious as to whether or not he's going to be able to solo the champion after this. I think he can already solo the champion. I swear like Metal Sonic Dude has done it, but I may be incorrect there. I need to look up on YouTube. But I think after this synergy, he definitely should have the potential to deal with those very buff-heavy matchups, which is really, really interesting. And then we also have a solo synergy with Dr. Doom. So Doom gets nothing, but Super-Skrull starts the fight with a Vigilance buff lasting for 15 seconds. So again, this allows him to counter miss for 15 seconds, and in certain scenarios, that could be really, really nice for the character. It is also a really interesting part of the champion. So all of the synergies below here are copy and paste of the individual effects that each of the Fantastic Fantastic Four give each other, and given his shape-shifting and covert history, Super-Skrull can activate all of these, but because he's just pretending to be them, he doesn't gain their effects himself. So I think this means you can use him in place of any one of the Fantastic Four characters for any synergy, which is really, really good. I'm not too sure if it works exactly like that, but at least to the best of my understanding, that is how it works. So again, he doesn't actually gain benefits from any of these synergies, but you can trigger any of the Fantastic Four synergies. So again, this could be really, really good, but again, he doesn't benefit from them himself, so he could be a good enabler and a bit more viable than certain characters like Mr. Fantastic, for example. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see on that one. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So Super-Skrull, again, he looks like he's going to be a pretty interesting champion on offense. I think he's going to have some pretty good utility, pretty decent damage output for the most part, but I'm a little bit concerned that he's going to be super annoying on defense, because again, the two immunities that he has is immunity to shock and incinerate, and those debuffs are a really good portion of like Dr. Doom's damage and also Longshot's damage as well, but he's not immune to bleed. So I kind of have a sneaky feeling that Symbiote Supreme's probably going to be the best counter to Super-Skrull, because again, you want a very like nullify heavy mystic champion, at least to the best of my understanding, because if you can just keep on preventing these buffs and turn them into power gain, that's going to be a really, really good time. So I think Symbiote Supreme's going to be really good. Also, Black Widow Clairvoyant, man, is going to have an absolute field day with that Incinerate immunity. So yeah, I think she's going to be absolutely ridiculous versus Super-Skrull, and also Sorcerer Supreme for that very aggressive Nullify aura as well. I think he's going to have some really solid value. But yeah, I'm very curious to see how he's going to be as a defender, because again, there's certain stuff to play around. Potentially the unblockable threat, also the falter mechanic as well. And I'm curious to see like how annoying his special attacks are going to be to deal with. So potentially he could be a really annoying defender as well. But yeah, he seems like a pretty cool champion overall at first glance. Again, I really do hope that he surpasses my expectations, and I'm just absolutely blown away by this character, but I'm also very interested to see how he looks and what some of those special attacks are looking like as well. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, if you did enjoy today's first look at Super-Skrull, please do smash that like button. That'd be greatly appreciated. But aside from that, let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. Thank you very much for watching. Take care, and I hope that you have an absolutely fantastic day.